Welcome to another episode of Latinos Who Thrive. I am your host, Victor Escalante. If you're new to the show, our podcast celebrates the achievements and success stories of Latinos in various fields. In each episode, we explore the unique journeys of our guests, from their humble beginnings to their current successes, and we uncover the valuable insights and lessons they have learned along the way. Our mission is to inspire and empower our listeners, particularly those within the Latino community, to pursue their dreams and achieve their full potential. Join us as we share stories of resilience, determination, and triumph, and we discover what it takes to thrive as a Latino in today's world. This week, we have special guest Daniana Trigoso Kukulski, Executive Director of DIFI Foundation. DIFI is an acronym for Developing Integrity in Families and Youth, and she's going to tell us about the work that she is doing in the community here in Houston. So let's get started. And now we have Dani Trigoso Kukulski. Dani, welcome to Latinos Who Thrive.
Victor, what a pleasure and honor is to be with me this afternoon. Thank you so much for the invitation.
I'm happy to have you talk to our audience about your trajectory. So tell us where you're originally from.
I am originally from Peru. I left my beautiful country at 21 years old when unfortunately my family, and I came from police department family. My father was a police officer, my brothers as well. So we facing tremendous time in Peru and the time that we have the terrorism, Sendero Luminoso. And so it was a family decision that we took back in the 80s to make the final decision to move out of the country. So after a decision that was taken by my oldest brother, we decided to go to different countries. You know, my oldest brothers went to Argentina, and I, as in the reveal lady, I went to Venezuela by myself. You know, I am the only daughter for 4 brothers. And as you know, as in Latina, we are super protected. So I was the baby of the family. And, you know, everybody was concerned about my decision. But I think after many years that I'm being blessed and then, you know, been working so hard, I can say that it was worthy, you know, the decision that I made back 20 years ago.
So help me understand, were you a political refugee in Peru?
No, sir. Unfortunately, I wasn't. Actually, It was the decision that I took, and I was traveling by myself and with my cousin to Venezuela, and I have to cross the border. So in reality, when we made the decision, we applied for a visa in Venezuela to Venezuela, but unfortunately, I was denied it. So being in this safety space, my brother and then my father suggested to have this, you know, trip, of course, with all the accommodations and the safety step that it was actually decided, you know, for myself.
How did being an immigrant from Peru going to Venezuela affect you in your mindset and your personal evolution?
Victor, I can say that I was so blessed, you know, even if being raised for 4 brothers, like I say, I am the only daughter. I can say that characteristics and a strength that a man's teaching us, you know, during our childhood, I can say that was actually my root and my efforts and my encouragement during my process. I decided to went to Venezuela because at that time Venezuela was the country that everybody would like to live with, you know, live in. Why? Because it was so rich, you know, with the petroleum, and there's so many different things in Venezuela in comparison with Peru at that time. We made the decision with my cousin. It was super good for myself at the beginning because I'm start as a 20-year-old. You know, I'm start my journal as an immigrant, learning the new culture with the same language. But I have in my background my master in education. So since God that I left my country with my 5 years in education, I have my master in education and early childhood. So I'm starting my journal in the education world. However, as an immigrant, everybody have to facing so many challenges. So at the beginning, it was a little bit hard, trying to adapting myself to the new country, to the new rules. And I become actually the second hand for one of the most famous doctors, a surgeon, plastic surgeon, that it was one of my best friends. And he become actually one of the person who support me to have my documentation in Venezuela. And after that, since that, I like the word and the God is good. I was applying for a position in international relations organizations such as Latin System Economy, which I'm working with economies of the 27 countries in Latin America. And we have to see immigration and culturalization and every single process that every economy in every single 27 countries have to facing. So it was a lot of reach and knowledge that I have at that moment of my life.
So give us the through line from Venezuela to coming to America.
Yeah. So, like I say, Victor, those are the times, and it looks like for me and my spiritual awakenings that I see that God is shaking my word every 15 or 18 years. That happened when I was 20 and I decided by my family to move out of the country. And then, 14 years after in Venezuela, it was another shaking. As you know, the President Chavez took the power in Venezuela, and then as in working in an organization, who has been dealing with so many economies for different countries, we made the decision by the ambassador's suggestion and advice to go out on to look for another countries, because we know that at that moment the country is gonna facing so many challenges and financially and by the safety. So at that time I have my baby. I was a single mom. I separated my life for the father of my child. And I was like, okay, now what is next? So at that time, my brother was living in Mexico and he offered me to come and living with him to open a restaurant. So I thought that it's gonna be, good to go back to my roots and be surrendered by my brothers. And that is what I did. I went to Mexico. After 3 days that I arrived to Mexico, I am super proactive, Victor. So I don't have, time to, have a vacation. I was like, this is my point right now. This is my new country. I need to get it. After 5 days that I arrived to Mexico, I found a restaurant. I, transpassing all the rights for the restaurant, and I'm start working as a restaurant, cooking and serving people and knowing more about the culture of Mexico, which one I was super in love actually. So I lived there in Mexico for more than 9 months. And then unfortunately at that time, my brother decided to go back to Peru and left me over there. I have like 13 months old baby with me by myself in Mexico City. And I was like, okay, what is next over here? Am I stay by myself or what should I do? At that time, unfortunately, what happened in Venezuela, every single change of money that you have in savings was locked out. So I have to make that trip back to Venezuela in order to get whatever I left in Venezuela. So and then, I have my auntie who was living in Indianapolis, Indiana, and she told me, why not United States? We have here family, you are welcome. And that is what I decided to come to United States. So I was living in Indianapolis for more than 14 years, actually.
So the cycle of 15 years repeats itself.
Yes, they repeat it. And that is what I say, every single 15 or 18 years is something that I believe that a God is actually shaking my word to actually, protecting me and then empower me to do something else for his kingdom. That is my thought.
So tell us, in your lifetime, you've been shaped by a lot of political and economic turmoil. And I understand that you're in the process of writing a book to help immigrants because you are a subject matter expert of going to different countries and acculturating and assimilating into the environment. So, with this as a backdrop to your story, what have you been able to learn firsthand that you can share with a lot of our audience about being an immigrant and what you need to do in order to thrive?
Victor, you know what? In my years of as an immigrant, as a single mom, as a woman, I had facing so many challenges. And then even with that, I thought that as an immigrant, nobody told us how it's gonna happen, what is gonna happen, what are you facing? You know, in reality, nobody prepare you to be an immigrant. The same thing, nobody prepare you to be as a father or mother. You know, so during my spiritual awakenings, I decided to write it on and said, okay, something that happened in me in my life, it could have helping and helping somebody else, you know, as in women, as in youth, you know. So I created this journal, you know, that it shows how, first of all, the linking that you have to have with your roots. For me, Victor, is super important. You know, the knowledge that you have, where you coming from, the values and the strength, and even the weaknesses of your family, of where you coming from, of the country where you coming from, maybe the neighborhood, you know, the culture that you coming from, because that is gonna happen, and that is gonna give you actually the start point to having new things, you know. Even if you are a prophet, women or men, you always have to go back to your roots. And then having the knowledge of who you are, where you coming from, I believe so that with preparation, education, and empowerment, self-empowerment, you can achieve your goal, you know, and that happened to me. Nobody told me, and then the experience that I have as an social services provider, I see so many immigrants and especially women, you know, who have been facing isolation, depression, maybe excited, or, you know, to be in the new world. You know, I have a one lady, for example, that she was 19 years old, having super happy to be in the new world, but didn't have any idea where she need to start. So it looks like her life changing one day to another one, but she couldn't know where she need to start to, you know, having a new life. So required to know where you coming from, where's your start point, is super important to actually to have new things in your life. And the book that it called Between Borders, that is gonna be releasing on the September 9th, I talking about what is happening with you before you leave, you know, before anything that has happened before the preparation. How do you need to prepare yourself to go somewhere else? It doesn't have to be United States, because the immigration is a global, you know, problem at this moment. You know, we have, for example, in Houston, Victor, we have received 1 million.3 individual who has been crossing the border in less than 6 months. What has happened with these people? Nobody talk about it. You know, nobody say, hey, you know, what about the human being? Yes, it's a lot of political stuff about immigration, but what happened with the human being? Where is the emotional part of the human being as an immigrant? So in the book, I try to educate the person who is ready to go or was forcing to go, you know, and then to have very open-minded, you know, facing challenges about, for example, your knowledge. You know, as an immigrant, I came with 5 years of education, Victor. And when then I submitted my paperwork to convalidate my degrees, they took more than 3 years. Of course, that it becomes a frustration because it needs that you need to work in 3 more years. That maybe you will facing, you know, economical challenges, maybe time challenges, you know, but those are the things that require to be in align with the same culture that you are in right now. We talk about that in the book. We talk about the reality when you are in the city, basically. What is happening? You know, what is the new system? Nobody told me, for example, I like I say, I came from police department family who was working many years in the police department. And I know that I have to follow the authority. However, I was stopped one day with a police officer, and I didn't know what to do. First of all, the language barriers, the culture barriers. I was like very familiar with the system as a police girl, let's put it that way. But when I faced that reality, it was completely off. I was completely in another world. The police was approaching me very aggressively, very in his word, you know what I mean? So, but in my perspective, I was follow the rule. I was follow the law. In his perspective, I wasn't, you know what I
Right.
mean? So I think in those kind of things, we need to be educated about the system.
You're listening to Latinos Who Thrive with special guest Daniana Trigoso Kukulski. We'll be right back. Are you looking to take your career to the next level? Do you want to stand out from the crowd and make a lasting impression? Then look no further. Introducing the ultimate game changer, the Escalante Public Speaking Mastery Course. In today's competitive world, effective communication is the key to success. Whether you're a seasoned professional or just starting out, the ability to speak confidently and persuasively is a game changer. I know, because I have lived through it. That's why the Public Speaking Mastery course is here to unlock your full potential. The comprehensive course is designed to transform your public speaking skills from good to extraordinary. I will be guiding you through a step-by-step process, helping you overcome stage fright, craft compelling messages, and deliver impactful presentations. When I took the Dale Carnegie School of Public Speaking and Human Relations, it changed my life, and I will be able to help you do the same. My career in journalism and training and development was built on having the skills to be able to communicate to a team or thousands. I hold nothing back. I will give you all my trade secrets and how you can thrive and crush it. Imagine walking into a boardroom and captivating your audience with your powerful presence. Picture yourself confidently leading meetings, delivering persuasive pitches, and commanding attention in every interaction. With the Public Speaking Mastery course, you'll be equipped with the skills to excel in any professional situation. If you're ready to take the step and supercharge your career, enroll in the Public Speaking Mastery course today. All the information and the cost is in the show notes. Don't let fear hold you back. Unlock your potential, elevate your career, and become a master of public speaking. Go to the show notes to register today to secure your spot in the next session of Public Speaking Mastery course. Public Speaking Mastery course, empowering professionals, transforming careers. Act now and make a lasting impression in every opportunity that comes your way. You will be glad you did, and you will thrive for the rest of your life. We now return you to Latinos Who Thrive with special guest Daniana Trigoso Kukulski. Danny, you and I speak the same language, but it's very theoretical for our audience. So let's get down in the weeds. Tell us how you've been able to overcome a lot of the challenges and difficulties in going from one country to another, especially coming to the States. Tell us, what were the biggest challenges that you faced coming to the States?
Well, first of all, is the language barriers, Victor.
Okay.
We know, I thought that I speak English, because my mother actually empowered me to learning English during my early childhood, So, but when then I get into Atlanta with a lot of different accents and slogans and different pronunciation, I identify myself that I didn't actually know anything about English. So for me, it was a necessary step that I have to take. So I decided to go back and learning English again, even if I thought that I knew, for me, it was very important. And then the other thing is, Victor, be proud about your accent, because that sometimes, for me, it was something that people start laughing with my accent. But at the beginning, I was like super frustrated about that episode. But later on, I identified that that is a rich thing. Nobody is like me. I'm unique. And then I have to respect my culture, my language, and myself. And if I have a strong accent, it's in a strong accent, but I want to pronounce it the correct English. The other thing that it was impactful for myself, Victor, is having the knowledge that my education is not going to happen the same here. I'm being educated as a teacher, for early childhood. Well, when I came to United States, I wasn't able to teach, so I had to go back again and study, and I have to have my degree as a teacher, certified teacher for United States. The other thing that I can face in Victor is the cultural differences. In my family, for example, we are super, super familiar with, touching, kissing, hugging, and, be surrendered by people, and maybe showing up anytime that I want to see my friend or my brother. One day, sometimes I remember in Indiana, I show up in the door with my brother. It was Sunday at 6 p.m. And he opened the door for he told me, you cannot come to visit to me, even if you need to let me know. You need to let me know because I have my own schedule. Ooh, that was for me like, oh my gosh, how my brother told me that. But those are new rules that we need to learn in Victor. And that was something that I was actually willingness to accept it, that it was a new culture. You know what I mean? Was a new culture, and in order to feel myself welcome, I have to follow the rules.
So you came to Houston. Houston is considered to be the future of how America will look like in the future. Hispanics are already the largest majority in Houston and now in the state, in the whole state of Texas. Latinos are the largest minority. And in your experience, what do you see, or what, as a social worker in the community, what have you seen that Latinos really need to understand and really need to get what it takes to scale up, to survive, not only survive, but to thrive in their personal and professional lives? What would you say?
Victor, I believe so that this is more than the mindset that you have to have.
Okay.
I don't see the differences between me and somebody else, honestly. Sometimes I feel that I am super blessed because I have the opportunity, first of all, to speak two languages, then to be bicultural, because not everybody is bicultural. And I think this is a rich thing that the Latinos who are educated and who wants to thrive and achieve things, they have to have that in their mind. So for me, thrive and success is become with your mind, your set. You have to have a mindset to drive and to be successful. And that is what actually it'll become more spiritual. What is success
Right.
for
I
you?
know that you're a person
Sometimes
of faith. I know that you are deeply grounded and rooted in your faith. And I highly encourage to my listeners to follow the path, whatever you feel that you need to follow, whether it's faith, whether it's self-help books, whether it's teachers, it doesn't matter how you do it. So you invest in developing the proper mindset to be unstoppable, to have, as some guests have said, to have ganas, to do things with ganas.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So, who are the authors that have influenced you besides the authors of the Bible?
Well, more than the Bible, I believe so in the problems of, that immigrants, as in myself, as in women, as in men, has been facing. Mr. Chavez has one of the actually authors and people who has been fighting for the rights of the immigrants and low income workers. So for me, it's a very good example of what we can achieve. At this time, Victor, we can find many examples of people who have been thriving, who has been successful, as in Latina, or as in African American, or as in Asia. So it doesn't make the differences between the culture. For myself, it's the mindset that you have to have and the opportunity that you create for yourself. Like I say, last year, for example, Victor, for me, it was a very dual year because I decided to close that chapter of myself to be more the bonita and the buena that everybody has in their mind. I was like, okay, I helped more than 35,000 people in that year, Victor, during the pandemic. And then at the end, I thought that everybody was good to me, and then reality, this is not right, so this is not the truth. You need to face in traición, you need to face in isolation, and you need to face in silence. So one day, for example, one friend told me, Danny, you are always helping people, you always call, you are the only one who wants to help and you call people. And she told me, stop calling and you will find out who is really your friend. And Victor, I can tell you, unfortunately, you know,
You could count
I
them on
think that
one hand.
I counted less than the one hand,
Yeah.
But you know what? It was good for me, Victor. Even in the moments that soledad or maybe isolation myself, I can identify my strength, I identify my fuerza, So I was like, nobody can come to me if I don't open the door, and nobody can make any changes in my life if I don't make the changes. So as a Latina, as a single mom, I put myself out and I say, I want to help more people. I want to do what is, I didn't have the opportunity. I don't have anybody who told me, Danny, you will face this challenge. You need to know about what is the system in the United States and how do you can become a seed for somebody else or for the next generation. It was good at the same time, but it was hard. For example, I have only one son who is in the army right now, and facing those challenges and helping him to be unique. I always mention to him that he is a unique because he is bicultural and he is bilingual. So for me, those are the things that we as a Latinos, single mom, women and men, we have that powerful, changes that we can make in the society. Like you say, Houston is the third or the fourth city more bigger than the United States. And unfortunately, it's a lot of work to do still for immigrants and refugees. It's a lot of political thing, as you know, as a political thing over here in Houston. We are in pre-elector, year. And that's the thing that we can understand it. I don't think that nothing is impossible, So we working. If you are a good person, you will get the things good to you, So the idea is to linking yourself with the right people and trying to become the echo for the good things, because in the past government, we has been heard so many bad things about Latinos. So I think it is now time to be the echo for the good thing.
What has been the most difficult challenges that you have overcome?
Victor, you touch my heart right now. 2016, it was one of the years that it was super hard for me. Unfortunately, as in the baby, the only girl in my family, I was the eyes of my father. My father passed away. And 2 months after, my husband killed himself, So I think that it was the moment that I trying to figure it out, who am I, where that I coming from and where I heading to. 2016, it was one of the most hard time for me because not only I facing functional depression, that I can function like normally, Victor, because at that time I was actually leading more than four support group for domestic violence victims. And then my doctor told me, what are you doing? You talking about depression, perpetrators, and those kind of violent things, and you are in the middle of the tournament. So I decided to make changes in my life at that time. And I say, okay, now it's time for me. And that's the reason why I decided to move to Houston, which I think was the best decision.
What advice would you give the younger Danny of, say, 20 years when she first left Peru?
Victor, I will tell her, don't be so hard with yourself, In this word, Victor, and myself, I can say, and this is a process that I'm still in, learning to be good to me, learning to pamper myself, to take a day off, to actually value the minimal things that you can do for yourself. Maybe have half an hour to walking on your backyard, or maybe be in silence. Having in silence for me was a very good therapy. And don't be so hard. Don't be so hard with you, because in my case, for example, Victor, that hardness and the restricted word that I trying to do with myself affecting my son. One day he told me, I don't want to be like you. You trying to be so perfect. And that moment, Victor, I was like, I am not perfect. I want the best for you. And he told me, Mommy, you need to let me be me. So that opened my eyes to see that even if you're facing so many challenges, it is good to be vulnerable. And then I have to be honest with you, Victor, I haven't give me the opportunity to be vulnerable sometimes,
Sure.
and that comes in your mind,
Right.
as in you are strong, you are, well, fuerza, you can do this. But at the same time, we forgot that we are human beings, that we have to have this moment. And it's okay,
Yeah.
it's okay to be sad maybe 1 or 2 days. It's okay to have those moments, and it's okay to get up and continue.
You had to become so strong and tough to survive that you became the actress of tough and survivalist, and you forgot about your own humanity, your own vulnerabilities. I read a study that researchers asked people that were nearing the end of their life what were their biggest regrets, and the number one was they wish that they could have been more compassionate with themselves. We're so easy to show compassion towards others, but sometimes we forget ourselves in the equation.
Yes, and it's true. Sometimes I did that with myself. I remember that I have another funny story, that I have a surgery, and then my son was with me, and I tried to comb my hair and then put my lipstick in my lips and then be looking like good. And he told me, "Wait a minute, you are in the hospital. You don't have to be like this."
Right.
It's okay to be vulnerable. And then for me, I think the vulnerability is something that we as a Latino who wants to get more things and wants to be the example for the next generations, also committed this error. So at this time, and really wants to be, the example for people, and especially like women's, youth, adolescent. Part of this process is the creation of the nonprofit that we have right now. We believe that the nucleus of the society is the change is in the family. So that is the reason we create 3 programs, Victor. One is specifically for mothers and young ladies who would like to become an entrepreneur. And being see that the legacy of the Latinas sometimes is forgotten. Sometimes people doesn't want to talking, or maybe mother doesn't want to be bothered, or maybe daughters wants to be bothered by the mother. But we have been seeing studies that when you as a family, as a mother, empower and encourage your daughter to continue your legacy in your business, you can become super successful. So that is the program that we offer right now with Metas. And of course, the Immigrant and Welcome Center, which is the giving the opportunity to 2 different areas. One for the newcomer who has to be educated about the new legacy, the new system, and how they can connect them with different community resources. And the other one is to certify people like you, like me, who are natural helpers. Everybody is like, hey, I have a friend who just came, where I need to refer them. So we are natural helpers. So this is a national program that we offer right now, where we certify natural helpers. And the other program is for youth specifically to fight for their rights, and especially in the workplace. Workforce is very uncommon that youth, and especially 14 to 19 years old, who has been facing this period and into fast food restaurants, they are the most common people who has been abused in wage theft, discrimination, and safety and health in the workplace. So we educate them about what they need to do as a new workers, facing new challenges and knowing their rights. So I think those opportunities as an overall as a family give us as a foundation the opportunity to help more people and to be, making them feel welcome into
Tell
the new
us
city.
the name of your nonprofit organization.
Yeah, the name is called DeFi Foundation, which one is Developing Integrity and Families and Youth Foundation.
Okay.
Over other people they call DeFi Foundation.
And we will have that information in the show notes if people want to connect with you to seek these services that your organization offers. Danny,
Thank you.
talk to us. Our time is almost up, but talk to us about your upcoming book. It's coming out in September.
September the 9th is gonna be released finally, and this is gonna be actually the opportunity to launching officially the foundation as well. Even if
Okay.
we are still working with the foundation, we have 2 years already working in Houston. We want to do like official launching the DeFi Foundation plus the book Entre Fronteras.
Okay. You'll have to come back and update us on the release of the book, and I hope to be at one of your book signing events,
Of course.
so that I can get my signed copy.
Of course, that's what's gonna happen, Victor. I'm super honored and blessed to having you and then receiving the invitation for you.
Danny, any final words?
Any final words? As a Latina, as a women, you have the power in your mind, only in your mind and your heart to make some changes. Don't be proud of where you're coming from. Where are your roots and where are you heading? El cielo es el límite para ti.
There you go. Well, that's it, my friends. Until next time, go out and have a great week and thrive, and we will see you. So long.